everybody, it is Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding. So this episode is our hull plating for the stern section on the poop deck. So you can see my directions here behind me. Turned out great. I'm really happy with it. Tricky, but worthwhile. Definitely worthwhile. The appearance of it is fantastic. I'm really excited. So stay tuned, watch, and hopefully you like it. Give us a like and a watch, or a like and a subscribe if you can. That'd be great. And let's get started. Okay, so here we are back in action. This is the stern plating. Now, as you can see, you have your choice of raised lettering or engraved lettering. I will be going with the engraved lettering, as that is what Titanic was. So the instructions, you have two different sheets that you really need to kind of go by. One is your order sequence for gluing down. So basically one, and well, hopefully you can see that, but 1, 2, whoops, I'm sorry, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And then your other one is your pieces. Now, they pretty much go in order. However, I'm still going to probably find that useful, and I'm going to actually tape it on the wall here behind the camera stand so that I can easily access it when I'm filming. I anticipate this to be a little bit easier than the side plating. The side plating was quite a challenge, so I'm hoping this is a little bit easier, but we shall see. So anyway, what we're going to do is use our rounded blade and basically cut our first piece off, and once we get that out, then we will kind of fit it up to the hull and see how we look. Now, this blade is about shot. I was using that to put glue underneath the plate, so I got to change out the blade. That's something I didn't show in the last video that I did mean to show. Let me grab the hull a minute. So I've already had a few comments on both the video and on the Facebook page saying about how straight my hull ended up. And what I ended up doing underneath here, I basically took CA glue and put it here, and then I just basically tucked it underneath here and worked my way down, and then held it down as I was going, and basically got all the way the full length of the hull. Now I'm still going to have to come in behind here and do a little bit of putty work just where it meets up to the hull of the hull and the plating meets up, just because some of the holes were a little bit bigger than they needed to be. I haven't decided if I'm going to do it from the inside or if I'm going to do it from the outside, but if I do it from the outside, I'll just end up basically taking putty and running a knife right along here with it, and then I'll kind of sand it up or file it, depending on how it comes out, to basically make sure that that's all sealed in so we don't have any light bleeds. The other thing that I'll end up doing on the inside is I'll run a little bit of foil tape probably along here, just to kind of help ensure that I don't have any light bleed, but more will come on that in the future. We're not to that stage yet. So I'm going to pause it a minute, go ahead and get the blade changed out on this knife, and then we will start installing the first piece. So I'll be right back. Okay, so just as a reminder, you want to sand your plates before you cut them out. I find that to be easiest because it's already right there, and you can just basically take your paper right over it. Now, you will see on the plates, they have a very faint line right there. That is your suggested overlap. So what we're going to do, and I already got the nameplate installed down here. So what we're going to do is cut out our first one, and we're going to start on the stern side, which is over here. So stern plate, which is, I guess it's not labeled by that, so S2P, which actually would be port. Okay, so this is actually port side, yeah, that's right, it's upside down. So we're going to cut that out. Now the nameplate also had a engraving mark for where you want it to overlap as well. Minibrass on their instructions does include a scale printout size of this. I did not end up using it only because I ran out of printer ink, but I'm pretty sure I'll be okay. If I start running into any kind of trouble, I'll obviously print it out and kind of test fit these before I go. But I'm going to give it a whirl without. Now, again, just like any brass, you'll see that there is a little bit of cleanup that needs to happen here. So each one of these is going to need the file on them. And basically, just to clean up the edges, just a little bit. It's not much there if you cut pretty clean, but it still really needs to be done. Otherwise you're going to end up with little pieces of sprue hanging out. And what I'm going to do is basically just kind of test fit this on and see how that looks. And that pretty well is lining right up. So I'm happy with that. Okay. So I'm deciding if I want to go and do the full port side first and then come over and do the starboard, which I think is the route that I'm going to go. Just because one other thing to point out, the center point is essentially right at the very end of the R in Liverpool. So that is where I made my center point, and I left my mark from here. I'll move the rudder so if you can see there. I left my mark from the kit when it was there. Now there is a very faint bend to this, and I don't really want to try to do too much of that on the actual piece, just because I worry that it will not be a good situation. So I'm using super glue gel, that way I can move it around a little bit for a second, but it will still stick pretty quick. So here we go. We're just going to put that right onto the overlap marking that was on that plate and let it stick. Okay. That actually went really pretty nice and no real issue. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you do get a little bit of super glue on your brass here, you can clean that back off after it dries. Acetone or nail polish remover, that is your friend for this. I wouldn't try to scratch it, I wouldn't try to sand it, I'd probably just use some nail polish remover, let it sit for a few minutes, and then kind of scrape it off. I got a little bit on the nameplate. I mean, not much, but you know, it happens. So that's what I will be using, but I didn't figure there was really too much of a point in doing it until I at least got this section done. So the directions tell you to start at the farthest point aft and work your way in. So that's what we're doing, and they are numbered as such. So like I said, that is the nameplate is plate number 1. So that's why I started there. Didn't start just because it said Titanic or anything like that. There was a real reason. Just calling that out. Okay. Now, we're going to do the exact same thing on this one. Just basically test fit it first. And then we'll glue. Okay. And that's basically fitting exactly how I want it to. So far so good. And that really makes me happy, because I've read some people have had some pretty bad fitment issues with these. So far, knock on wood, I'm having pretty solid luck. This time, I'm going to go a little heavier on the glue on the outside. Oops, upside down. That way, where it sticks to the hull, it has more glue there. Okay, so far so good. That's piece number 3 essentially. And I'm getting my line that I should have right here for the overlapping. What do they call that? The in-out plating. Actually, the in-out plating, I believe, is more so down here, but whatever. It overlaps in any case. See, I got a little bit of glue here that I'm kind of working away right now. But like I said, if I get a little bit of spillover, I'm not that concerned. That'll come right off. And actually, it's really coming right off with my fingernail, so no real harm there. And before it comes time to paint or even prime any of this, there will be plenty of prep work that goes into it beforehand. So I'm sure I'll have plenty of time to get that just right, and I'm not going to paint until it is just right. There's still, after this hull plating, I still have some styrene plates that I'm going to be making around the rudder down here that are missing, and I got to clean up here, obviously, which that was from back when we put the prop shafts in, but that stuff's all fairly minor, and that's really just a matter of working it with the sanding sticks and files. So that will all come in time. Not overly worried about that yet. Now this set also has your rudder details with it. Well, actually, this the Minibrass set, I mean. So those will all get installed probably in this video too, because I'm not going to obviously film me putting every single piece on. I'll do the first couple here, and then I'll pause and, you know, my typical thing that I do. So Again, I'm doing the glue a little bit heavier on the far side, and then making sure I have a good bond up where the plate overlaps. Okay. Boom. That is on. Perfect. Alright, so all of the rumors that I've read and seen about the fitment of these so far, like I said, knock on wood, has been perfectly fine for me. So I don't know if it's user error or if somebody's got different kits going on, but so far this is fitting exactly how I want it, really. Got a little bit of spill out, that's what I was wiping up right there, but again, I'll just kind of work it away with my fingernail like I'm doing now, and we should be perfectly fine. Yeah. Okay. Alright, let me cut the next one. I'll finish up these last 3 panels here, and then we'll pause it, and I'll move on to the other side off camera. That's kind of what my plan looks like. And then we'll come back when it comes time to start doing the overhang of the stern there, and working our way towards the rudder. But so far, I mean, all of the Minibrass, both this set and the side plating, I don't know, I think it looks fantastic. I'm very happy I got it. Alright, now, just want to file that one a little bit more. Alright, giddy up. Got a little piece of glue there. So this side is not sanded, obviously, and it really kind of shows you why you want to sand, because this glue is able to scrape right off. So when you're installing, you obviously don't want that to happen on the piece that's adhering. Okay. Don't be afraid to give it some pressure to kind of build that curve. The glue seems to be doing it for me, really, making the curve on its own, which is great. And it's staying within the lines here. No, it's not. Okay, I'm going to pull this one carefully back off because I'm not real happy with it. So in the situation this happens, you can carefully get under it with your X-Acto and pop it back off. There we go. Just going to scrape the glue back off there. And we're going to reapply some glue and give her a shot again. It was very slight, but I didn't like it. And wherever you lay your panel, it will have an effect on the panel's forward of them, so it's important that you have them where you want them. There we go, that's where I want it. I got glue spillover though that I'm not happy with, so I'm going to wipe that off first. Okay, and then we're going to push down, and I got more glue spilling out, so I'm going to let this set for a second and then I'll work on getting that off. So I generally find about 20 seconds or so is the ideal time to get this to catch. Yep, there we go. Alright, so now we're going to try to clean that off a little bit. Okay. Yeah. No issue. And I'm back under my line that I wanted to be at. So I'm just going to kind of scrape it again with my fingernail. Get the glue off of it. You know what? I'm still not happy. I'm not overlapping the line on the other plate. Alright, well, unfortunately, we're going to do this one more time. But better now to catch it than later. Okay. I'm going to scrape the back of this a little bit now too, because this would be the third layer of glue, and I don't really want to do that. And I know why I was having issues. I think I actually put that on upside down. Okay. That is our way we want to go. And we want to make sure we are overlapped. There. That's better. I got my overlap, and I'm sitting how I want to be now. Okay, let me wipe that and give pressure. I'm giving pressure kind of on the corners, and that will kind of build my shape that I want here. Sorry we had to redo that 3 times, but I'd rather have it right. Okay, and the rest of that I'll get off with acetone here a little bit later after it sets up, but I just want to make sure we're on okay. Okay, we seem all right. My fingers have become a little gluey. Alright, we got 2 more that go on here on this side, but I don't think seeing a error was a bad thing, because that's how you got to work through these problems sometimes. Sorry if I'm cutting off camera. I mean, all I'm literally doing is cutting, but I don't want to move it every single time I'm trying to do this. Okay. Boy, there's a lot of glue. Now, I'm not filing the actual part, I'm just filing the line where that goes into. Just an FYI. Okay. That one went on much nicer than the last. I guess the last one didn't really go on that bad. It was just the fact that I misplaced it twice. Okay. And this one seems to be perfect, dead on. And now you can see that glue, now that's kind of dry, is already easily scraping off. So that's good. Alright, we got one more. Okay, so then, like I said, off camera, I'm going to go ahead and get the other side set up, and I will go ahead and clean up this part here that we got glue all over, and then when we come back, it'll be time to start the stern overhang parts and see how that comes out. Now I'm hoping this basically comes to an end right where it's supposed to. And it pretty much did. That's great. There's a little piece of the hull detail there that I might have to shave off. I'm going to have to look at pictures from Titanic Ship Magnificent. Or, oh no, actually not. Hull plating goes right there, so nothing wrong at all. That's good. What I was referring to on the other side there, right here, if you can see where my finger is, there's a little spot where the hull plate would go. So that actually is the next piece, I believe, to get installed. No, it's not. Okay, well, we're going to follow the directions. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna pause it before I get it cleaned up. There you go, you can kind of see what's going on. That definitely is a little bit dirty right there with glue, but no worries, we'll get that cleaned up and it'll be beautiful. So I like it, I'm happy with it, I think it'll be good. All right, be back in a minute. Okay, so got that done, and what we're going to do now, I'm going to kind of reposition this a little bit. I just have those two pieces sitting there. Now, this piece here is your center, and it is overlapped by this one here. So I brought that one in, and from what I can tell, this is exactly where it should be. So there is a slight crease, not crease, but a bend to it, which even though I didn't want to bend the other stuff, I am going to put a slight bend in it just to assist along with the gluing, just for this one because of its proximity. Well, not proximity, I don't know what the word for it I'm looking for, but angle, I guess. So I'm using the other piece here just to kind of help me line up where I need that to land. And I need that to be exactly center right there. And that looks to be dead on. All right, perfect. So these overlap themselves basically in four distinct layers, I guess it says in the directions. So right now I'm just applying some pressure to get it on. So that is our first one. Then we go to piece number A2, which is right here, this guy. And that does have the overlapping mark for it, which is helpful on the outside. So I'll get this off, kind of clean it up, show it to you. Whoops. After I file a minute here. And the closer you get these cut, obviously, the less filing you have to do, but more than likely you'll still have to do a little bit. Just be careful on this stuff, it is sharp. I've already kind of jabbed myself a couple times with it. So again, this one will fit under that one. I'm only using that as a placeholder so that I get my angle going correctly with this. Yep. So it needs to go follow basically along that line right there. And that should pretty much put us where we want to be. So yeah, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here. We're going to put her down. What I'm finding with this kit is, as long as you kind of take your time and plan out your movement basically with it, it's not really that bad. It's I can see how it would trip up some people though if they're not being patient and really planning ahead of time. I'll see, I was talking there. I went too far of the line. So if you do that, it does come off fairly easy when it's still wet glue. Okay, we'll try that again. That's better. So we're right basically in the plate line that trumpeter has molded in there, and that's where I want to be. Okay, hold that in for a minute here. So then we're going to go ahead and do the other side, and then we'll glue that down, and you can see that is overlapping right there pretty well perfectly. Got a little gap right there, not 100%. No, I'll be all right. Okay, good. Okay, let me cut my next one off here. Once I get this one done, then it's going to be just a matter of continuing on in the pattern that it calls for. So we'll get this one glued on, and the one right around the rudder there, and then we'll break, and I'll see what goes next here. Now there is little markings in here too. That is where the what do you call it, the little fittings that would have held rope. I can't remember the freaking name of them right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. God, I'll think of it in a second. Not jack stays. Well, whatever. When it comes time, we'll get them. I have them both in Minibrass and China 3D. I do plan on using the China 3D ones though, just because they look quite a bit easier. And I think they will actually hold up better when it comes down to it, because brass glued to brass kind of scares me a little bit. But they won't be going on in this video. They'll be probably in the next 1 or 2 videos as we start to prep the hull for paint work. Okay. There we go. Now that guy lands right there, like that. So we're going to glue him on. And this one you have to kind of fit around the rudder. So I only want to do this once. I'll put my glue there for that. Okay, got a little bit of lift off there, so I'm going to use that blade I had earlier and put some glue under it. I'm going to use the instant set glue instead of the gel. So we're going to just kind of run it right there and then hold it down. Like that. And we're going to do the same thing over on the other side. Alright, and that actually held right there pretty darn good, so I'm pretty happy with that. And it did not inhibit any of the rudder movement, so I'm gonna say mission accomplished on that piece. Okay, so that was 17. Now we have piece number 18, which goes above here. So we'll put that one on real quick, which is B1, and then I'll pause for a minute to start doing some plating, and I'll come back. Again, with the brass, make sure you don't bend it at all when you're trying to remove it. Get a good cut on it. Make sure you get a cut before you try to pull it up. Otherwise, you're going to have fitment issues. That goes with any brass, but just in case, figure I mentioned it again. Okay, so this one had a lot more of the sprue left on it. Again, be careful, this stuff is sharp too. It's almost like a razor blade. Okay, so that goes over top of this, basically like that. I think I'm going to test fit the last one before I glue this on. Just because I want to make sure that it fits. So that's E1. Okay, and this one should go over top of that one, basically. And yeah, looks like that's gonna fit up pretty well perfect. Goes right to the edge. Okay, I'm feeling good about that. That's exciting. And I don't want to cover those little holes right there. So right there is pretty much where she needs to be. Gonna do a little bit of a bend again, not much, just minimal. I'm doing it with my fingers, not with a photo etch bender. This barely goes over top of the other one. Just barely. And something does not look completely correct. Yep, I'm angled. Gonna pop it back off. So what was happening, one side was lower than the other. Okay, we'll try that again. Right there. That looks better. And what I was talking about is where it's overlapping this plate back here, up here. I want them to be about equidistant, which they are now. Okay, that looks good. It's definitely going to take a lot of cleanup with nail polish remover, acetone, whatever you want to call it, when I get there. But yeah, that looks right. Okay, I'm going to pause it, and basically we now go 18, that was 18, then we go 19, which we actually skip this one. So that one we just tested out, that guy goes right there, but the pieces that go here go underneath him. Actually, they're right above him. He goes over all of that. Okay, so I'm gonna pause it. We'll be back. Okay, so here we go. Got this side pretty well done, and this side's just about done. I gotta get that one down a little bit more here. But we're gonna go ahead and put the last couple pieces on. Now you'll see here, I gotta re-drill those two holes. No big deal. But I'm really happy with how this came out. It has a really nice look to it, and if you look at pictures, you know, decent pictures of Titanic from back in the day, it looks pretty spot on to what the real thing looked like. So nice kit. I like it a lot. Mine I think turned out pretty good all in all. Couple spots that aren't perfect. I think I'll be able to kind of fix them up with a little bit of putty and sandpaper just where I got a little bit of bending from trying to get that piece to kind of sit down onto the plate underneath it. But it's going down 2 plate levels, which make it a little bit more challenging. So I'll hit a little bit of putty on there just to kind of flatten it back out. And I had a couple over on the other side that I had to relift, and they had a small ripple in them, but nothing at a little bit of putty and sandpaper won't smooth back out. So all in all, challenging kit. I will say that it is definitely challenging, but the results really give the look that I'm looking for when it comes down to it. Got all the glue splatter off, just using the what do you call it, nail polish remover. That worked perfectly fine, so no issue there. Oh, this goes up here. Yeah, that's right. So that goes there. All right. So yeah, it pretty much goes on exactly how the directions call for it. Everything fits really nice. You don't have to like cut anything or do anything abnormal to make the parts fit on. They bend and conform really well to the hull. Obviously, there's a lot of bending that goes on this hull, especially back here with this poop deck overhang. But it all pretty much works out perfect. So, you know, Minibrass does a nice job with this. I like the kit. Like I said, I think it was very, very well worthwhile. Highly recommend that to anybody that's going to be building the kit. Again, I would not say that it's necessarily for the first time modeler. And then again, I don't really think this kit in general is probably for the first time modeler, but you know, it is what it is. So we're going to put these last 3 pieces on here, and I'll probably do a couple little different angles of what it looks like finished off, and we'll wrap this video up. The next video will end up being the final Minibrass video, which is going to be all of the coaling doors, the rudder details, and the bow nameplates and all of that stuff that goes on it. And then I'll probably also do the underhull plating on that video, because that will get extremely repetitive once we start going, because that literally is putting all the plating down here on the bottom of the hull. But it will be worthwhile to have the video on it. Yeah, so let me just get this last one on here and then kind of show you what it looks like from underneath. Once it's all primered up too and painted, it's really gonna, I can tell it's really gonna look nice. So I like it. Also, I guess I'll take a minute. I want to just thank all of my subscribers who have been tuning in and watching. The channel is continuing to grow at a nice rate, so I do appreciate everybody that has been tuning in, and you know, I appreciate comments. So I try to answer everybody's comments when they make them, but yeah. I guess I'll give one last little plug out too. So if you go on the LC Model Building Facebook page, I'm now selling White Star Line wine glasses and champagne flutes, and I'll probably also be doing shot glasses here soon. So check out LC Model Shipbuilding if you're interested in any of that. I have pricing on there. However, if you're ordering more than 2, I'll put together kind of a package deal. and then we'll go from there. But there we go. That is the last piece. So let me pause it here and we'll take kind of a look around from underneath. Okay, there we go. You can kind of see the plating and how it looks. And once we get our primer on there and you're not seeing it all shiny, I think it's going to really look very good. So I'm happy with that. Like I said, next video we'll do the rudder details that still have to get done. I'll get this sanded up. There's going to be some detail work that comes around in here for plating and whatnot. So we'll get all that done, and yeah, we're getting close to being ready to paint this hull here very soon. So stay tuned, and we'll definitely be showing more as we go. Thanks for watching.